Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the Sedra of Terumah. And it is also Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, Adar, the second day of Rosh Chodesh. And we read the special Maftir, the end reading of the Torah reading of Parshas Shekalim. And all of these themes, I think, can converge together to tell us how we are a nation of builders and a nation of givers, and how can we build a home for Hashem. And as we think about all of these themes, we dedicate our learning to the safe and speedy release of all of the hostages in Gaza and the safety and success of all of the soldiers in the IDF as they continue their heroic missions to defend the people of Israel and the land of Israel. And just first of all, thinking about Rosh Chodesh Adar, the month of Adar, can also be understood on a deeper level as as containing the concept of Aleph, which is the first letter of Adar, and then Dalad Resh, which is Dar, also means living or abode. A dira, for example, in Ivrit is a flat. And the concept of Aleph Dar, in associating it with the month of Adar, when we generally read the Sedras that talk about the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, which was the earthly abode that we made for Hashem. So we are talking about making a habitable space for Hashem, which contradicts so many ideas in terms of Hashem is limitless, Ein Sof. So how can we confine, as it were, Hashem to a particular place? And this idea that Hashem owns the entire world. If we're trying to give something to Lahavdil, not to make a comparison to a human being, but to somebody who is so wealthy and they own an entire country, and you come to them and say, I want to make you a small home when you come and stay in my street, in my town. So all of these questions and the symbolism of what we're doing. But I think that we can understand, we can put these themes together. And when we look, for example, at the verses that talk about the creation of the world, the entire world is created in approximately 34 verses at the beginning of the Sedra of Bereshis. When we look at the Sedras that deal with the construction of the Mishkan and also the special garments that the priests, the Kohanim, had to wear, we see that there is four Sedras, approximately 400 verses devoted to the home and the uniforms worn by special people who worked in the home for Hashem that we construct in the Mishkan, that is described in the Torah. And so how is it that so much more time and space is devoted to this to the Mishkan? And this is something that we can see that Hashem is valuing. Hashem, when we have a mission to make a home, to dedicate a space in the universe, in the home that is Hashem has given to us, and we in turn give that back to Hashem. We take off, we dedicate this special space to Hashem. We can see that is so precious to Hashem that so much more time and space is devoted to describing all of this. And when we think about this concept of us being a nation of givers and builders, there are two types of giving that this coming Shabbat we can focus on. The first is in the opening section of this week's Sedra of Terumah, when we are told that we have to give this Daber. This is chapter 25, verse 2. Daber el bnei Yisrael v'yikhu li teruma me'es kol ish. Speak to the children of Israel, and they will take for me a contribution from each person, asher yitveno libo, whose heart inspires him, tikhu es terumasi. You will take my contribution. And this idea, first of all, the word terumah, the concept of giving as raising, because the central letters of terumah, resh and mem, mean elevating, high, and this is part of the culture that the Torah, part of the way of life that the Torah is inculcating in all of us, with this idea of when we give, when we combine, come together to construct a project, to construct a home for Hashem, when we give tzedakah to somebody who needs the financial assistance, we are elevating ourselves. It's not that we've done something that is entirely benefiting someone else. We are the beneficiaries in the act of giving. Now, the concept here of the giving is a voluntary contribution, and this voluntary contribution is not not only voluntary, but it's also the amount is something that can be decided by the individual concerned. This is in contrast to the donation that's referred to in the concept of Shekalim, in this half a shekel that we remember at this time of year. And this is going to be the maftir, the end portion of the Torah reading of this coming Shabbos. And that is chapter 30, verse 12. Read a few of these verses from sort of 12 and 13. Kisisa es Rosh b'nei Yisrael lifkodehem, when you wish to take the sum of the children of Israel to determine their numbers. V'nosnu ish kofer nafsho, and each person shall give the atonement for a pledge for the atonement of his soul. Bifgodosom, when you count them. Lo yebahem negev bifkodosom, so there should not be a plague among them when they are counted. Zeh yitnu kol ha'over al habgodim. This is what you should give. Everyone who must be counted. Machatzitz hashekel b'shekel hakodesh, half a shekel of the holy shekel, and 20 geras equals esrim gera hashekel machatzitz hashekel terumah la Hashem. So in the second type of donation, every single person has to give the identical amount, and the Torah it specifies that a poor person should not reduce the amount, and a wealthy person should not increase the amount. And this is almost as a warning of some sorts. Whether it's to the individuals or to our own perception that perhaps somebody who cannot afford it should get a reduction, somebody who can afford more should give more. The sort of utopian Robin Hood style idea that often ends up causing the most injustice. In this situation of the machatzitz shekel, of the half a shekel, and this collection funded the communal sacrifices that brought atonement for the whole people. And really, I think this concept of absolute equality in this particular area, where nobody should feel either more than or less than because of their bank account, under this vital heading of community sacrifices and atonement, we should know that we stand equal before Hashem. Somebody with a larger bank account does not have elevated status. Somebody with a smaller bank account does not have a reduced status. In this area, there is absolute equality. However, in contrast to the flawed human systems that claim to be, bring out the best in human nature, but seem actually to do the exact opposite, we know that human beings are not identical. And in any situation, and especially when you think that the Sedra of Terumah is addressing the Am Yisrael, the Jewish nation, when they've just come out of the land of Egypt, they've all been slaves. How long have they been free men? They are in a desert. how much time do they have to acquire property, to develop a business opportunities that some people will now be more will have more income at their disposal, and some people will have less. And yet the truth of human nature is that that actually will happen remarkably quickly, and that you will get those people who are very astute in business, and they will manage to amass uh, more wealth, and therefore they will be in a position to give more. And so for the overall construction of the tapestries, of the beautiful golden structures, the the external structures, the internal structures. And in this area of the overall building project, then there is potential, there is scope for the flexibility, first of all, that this does not have to be mandatory. This must rely on the people wanting to be part of the building of the home for Hashem as this nation of builders. And and not only the fact that they have to give at all, but the amount that they give. And this is something that relies on this desire to give of the people. And in this way, between those two approaches to giving, on the one hand, the half a shekel, that is a fixed amount for everyone, that there is absolute equality. Yet in the other, in the terms of the construction of the structure of the Mishkan and the contents of the Mishkan, there is going to be greater flexibility. And this is the kind of balance that we strike, and that encourages us to be a nation of givers, and to appreciate that when we give, we are actually the beneficiaries as much as, if not more than, the recipients. And in terms of being a nation of builders, and this we can see throughout our history, that we look at the land of Israel, the modern land, the Israel of today, that we have such a zechus to be part of, and we see the miracle of the building of this land. And this is something that perhaps we can look back to the time of the Mishkan and translate it from there. But in terms of the construction of the Mishkan in the desert, we see that there is a debate. The Gemara, the Talmud in Tractate Brachas 55a describes a discussion between Moshe Rabbeinu and Bezalel, who was the chief architect. And the Gemara says, when the Holy One told Moshe, go and tell Bezalel to make the Mishkan, Aaron, and other furnishings, Moshe went and reversed it. He told Bezalel, make an Aaron, that is the ark that would house the Torah, the furnishings, and the Mishkan referring to the outer construction. Said Bezalel, our teacher Moshe, it is the common procedure to first build a home and then move in the furniture. But you tell me to make the Aaron, the ark, the furnishings, and the Mishkan. Where am I to install these furnishings after I finish them? Might I suggest that perhaps what God actually said to you was, make a Mishkan, Aaron, and furnishings? Exclaimed Moshe, were you Bezalel in the shadow of God that you should know? And so this conversation that talks about whether when we are building a home for Hashem, do we start first by focusing on the Aron, the ark, which is the house, as it were, of the Torah. And this was Moshe Rabbeinu's priority. This is what he wanted to ensure was completed first, and that showed his intense desire, his absolute priority of the Torah. But Bezalel, literally with the feet on the ground, coming from the ground up, as the architect, knows that if we want to do justice, to provide the protection and respect that the Torah needs, before we make the Aron, we need to ensure that the outer structure is there first. And the outer structure, we could say, is what is revealed. And inside inside, what goes on inside, that is more concealed. And Moshe Rabbeinu, in his exceptional humility, acknowledges that although he sincerely believed that the Oron should be first, and he was right to prioritize the Oron, he sees that actually Bezalel is correct, and first the outer structure must be completed. And as we are going to be celebrating the month of Adar and the hope of Simcha and redemption that it brings every year, and especially this year, when we are enduring times of crisis, we can really actually look at the themes of the revealed and the concealed. And in terms of the festival of Purim, with Esther, Queen Esther, as the main protagonist, is about the concealment in this case of the story of Esther, of initially the concealment of the presence of Hashem and all of the heartache and the potential tragedy that nearly came to the Jewish people as a result of that concealment. However, we read the Megillah, and this concept of the word of Megillah contains within it the root legalot, to reveal, because through the hidden salvation of Am Yisrael at the time of the story of Purim, we actually come to the revelation of Hashem's presence. And in the same way that we have the foundation of our nation as a nation of givers and builders, and we can look at the deeper meanings and the way that the story of Purim resonates with these ideas and gives us the confidence and the hope in the eternal promise and closeness of Hashem to his people, that please God, we should merit to see the complete revelation of Hashem's presence as we come towards the holiday, the festival of Purim. Thank you very much for listening. Wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov.